set up or
Oh, okay,
anything.
let's do mine. Hang on. Well, my mouse is done. No, it isn't. Mine's on.
Oh, we're live, but we're not actually ready to be live. Um, there
Hello.
we go. Hello,
Hello, everybody.
hello. Apologies for the delay. Today, I'm really excited to share with you somebody who I've admired for a long time and known on social media, probably the only last 2 years. I've got some amazing questions that I want to ask because I know you're curious like me and want to know the answer. And I'd like you to meet Miss Ola Agbamoni, the business detective.
I
Ta-da!
thought you were going to do that.
I've even made her dress up smart, ready for this call. So, Ola, for those people who've never seen an episode of our crazy show on a Friday afternoon before,
Uh-huh.
who are you? What do you do?
Who am I? Well, hi, everybody. Really nice to meet you today. It's such a pleasure to be on the AA social media Abstinence show with Sarah Aaron. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here. If you've never seen the show before, then you won't know that I'm one of the co-hosts. And my name is Ola Agbamoni, hence the AAs, and we do the show every Friday. So what do? I'm known as a business detective because of my Sherlock-like Holmes ability to detect problems and see the unseen and uncover that which is hidden, to bring it into plain sight. If you've ever seen Sherlock, it is Sherlock, isn't it? It's Sherlock episode thing, and how he does it. He's got his mind. That's me. I'm the female equivalent of Sherlock Holmes. But I do big mic. If I'd known it was me, I'd have come with the microphone and me hat. Cause I got a detective hat. She's told me. But anyway, so yeah, and what I do is I help small businesses with their social media marketing. And one of the things, reason we set this up is that I meet a lot of small businesses who are really struggling with social media. And do you know what? The good news is you're not alone. It is a struggle. Even the bigger players are struggling with social media because it changes so fast. What worked last year isn't working this year. In fact, what worked last month isn't necessarily working this month. So it is a moving feast. But you know, the good thing is it's difficult to get wrong because there's no failure, just feedback. So if it doesn't work, you just do something else and then hope that that gets the results. If it doesn't, you tweak it again. So that's how we proceed. So that's what I do. I blog a lot. What else do? I coach a lot, and I do training. I specialise in small businesses, primarily in the holistic health sector, because I'm one of those touchy-feely people. I'm really into kind of and kind of lovies me. So I kind of naturally gravitate to those type of people. But I do other businesses as well. I've got a range of different clients at the moment, including a hotel. And so, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And what else can I tell you about me? Oh, yeah, I'm a black
Well,
belt in
just let
Taekwondo.
me bloody ask you some questions, woman.
You should tell me about me. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo.
We were going to get around to that. So I'm going to ask you, why social media? Why did you choose to become a social media marketer?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why did I? I think it kind of found me as opposed to I chose it, because I think I'm a natural teacher. And so, you know, somebody who loves to impart information. And as soon as I find something, I just have to tell everybody else. So when I started to work in social media, and I used to work with Leela Bullock, we'll give her a little shout, doing some more business stuff. I got into social media. I love writing, so that's, you know, the content part of it really attracts me, and I just like finding out how things work. So when things I don't understand something, I find out, and then I have to just tell everybody. And I think that's basically what social media is, isn't it? It's sharing information. So it's kind of giving me, saved me a phone bill, basically. I don't have to call everyone. I can just get online and tell everybody. So yeah, I think that's why I like it. I like the sense that you can talk to a lot of people, you can share information, and as I said, I like to share what I learn. If I find something difficult, I think, oh, look, and now I understand it. Okay, if they put it like that in the first place, everybody would understand it. So I'll just go and tell everybody the way it made sense to me. And on the whole, I find that it does make sense to other people because, I always say if I get it, then anyone can get it because I've not dumbed it down, but I've made it accessible. So I think that's why I like social.
And
I don't
that
like
is
the self-indulgent stuff that's going on at the moment. You know, there's a lot of people who are just, I just, I think I'm going to go through my friend list and start blocking people en masse. You know, all the self-indulgent ones. You just think, what? This is not what social media is about. And I'm not talking about sharing your life and your family, because that's up to you, you know. But all those, I don't know, sanctimonious, it's almost as if we've suddenly got, do you know those shows where they roll out Z-list celebrities? And just if you don't know what a Z-list
I don't actually know what a Z-list celebrity show is. I'm just nodding and agreeing.
I'm just going to tell you. So you know, if you go Excel spreadsheet, yeah, and it goes A to Z, then it starts going AA, then AA to Z. Then if you go over to the right, you get to the ZZs. They're celebrities that are on that list. They're just so famous that nobody doesn't know who they are. And then they roll them out, and then they look at somebody's life, and then they'll all be commenting on this person's life and kicking the boot in and just having a go because somebody's asked them. And there are loads of people like that on social media now who just troll the internet. They're trolls, aren't they? They just troll the internet for people to kick the boot in and voice their opinion. You think, who cares, really? That's not what it's about. If social media just creates lots of busybody gossips who've now got a bigger platform to make other people's lives miserable, then I think we've lost it. So, you know, so if you're on social media, it's not to make everybody else's life miserable. And a question you should ask yourself is, would you like somebody to say that about you? And if the answer is no, then don't post it. You know, so that's my little hobby horse.
Okay, right, now you're off the hobby horse, I've got to think of another blinking question for you. So, why holistic therapies? In your introduction, you mentioned you're a touchy-feely sort of person and you lean that way in your philosophies and beliefs. But what is it about the holistic therapies businesses that you personally enjoy working with those practitioners?
I think if I'm honest, I kind of gravitate to people I think need the most help. And I'm not saying, and so it's not just holistic therapists. I tend to find that, you know, I'm drawn to people who are really struggling, and then my passion gets going, and I think, oh yeah, I can help you. There's something I can do for you. So, but what I tend to find with, because holistic therapy covers a big range of businesses, you know, so you've got from the coaches to chiropractors, Reiki practitioners, people who are delivering personalized services to other people. And on the whole, what they've done is they've given up an employer to employ themselves, and they end up trading their time for money. And for a lot of people, they find it very hard to get customers. They find it very hard to make a regular income and to build a big business. And so part of the reason I'm drawn to the holistic therapist is really to take this whole idea that actually these kind of businesses can make money, and people do make six-figure sums in this industry, but a lot of therapists are struggling to figure out how they do that. And social media is a platform where you can build your brand as a holistic therapist, become known as an expert in your area, and therefore go from trading time to money to selling products to franchising your service to building a really big industry. And I like that. I like that whole kind of, I can take you on a journey. You know, we can use social media to grow your brand. This is more than just putting money in your pocket. This is helping you change your lifestyle. And I think that's why I'm drawn to them, because these girls can hire people in. So I think that's just naturally me. I'm just that kind of helpy person. I sound creepy now, don't I?
Yes. She's a stalker. She wanted to wear a hat earlier. You're lucky she's not, because you'd never recognise her in the street, because she wouldn't go out in this hat. Right. So my next question is, you mentioned you like blogging a lot. So how did you discover blogging? What's your blogging journey?
It's funny, you know, because I think I was blogging because I just like writing. So I journaled before I wrote on the internet. I used to write a journal every day, and I love writing by hand, because there's something about your hand on the paper and the flow and the energy that you get by just writing that I really like. So I used to journal every day. I had books everywhere, and I think after a while I thought, actually, if I died suddenly tomorrow, I really wouldn't want anyone to come back and read my journals. Whilst there were some really great gems in there were also some things that I wouldn't really want to. We had my touchy-feely friends. We had kind of like a ritual one year, and we burnt them all ceremoniously. So now, yeah, and I regularly burn my journals so that they're not left for prosperity, because I don't want anyone to read them. But this idea of writing regularly was something I always did, and so when I started to write articles, it just kind of flowed on from that. And I initially wrote about. So another thing you don't know about me is that I'm an interfaith minister. So that's the touchy.
I did know that, but our readers and viewers.
I was talking to the audience. I know you know. Because you know me. So yeah, and so I used to do a regular service. So I used to write articles for that. And then once I got into social media, when I worked with Lila, I used to write for her. And so I kind of just got into writing. I like writing. I like writing about things that I'm interested in. And so as soon as I find something I'm interested in, it's very easy for me to write about it. Conversely, if I'm not interested in it, I can't write about it. There's a double-edged sword. So I often start articles, and I get halfway through and think, "Oh, this is just boring. I don't want to read this, and I'm writing it." And then I have to, it's got to interest me. Yeah, it's always that point where you think, "I spent too long writing this, and it's got to go up, and I hate it. It's not interesting. What am I going to do?"
You started out journaling, and then you moved into online and sharing your content and writing online. How has your writing changed? Did you write differently for your journals? Has your style changed? Have you grown as a writer? Or is it the reverse? You've actually sort of shrunk and stepped back as a writer?
It's funny, because in my last job, so before I worked for myself, I worked in the public sector, and we wrote reports all the time. So I did a lot of writing. So you learn to write to different audiences. So if I was writing a report or a bid, or a consultancy document, or some work, then you've got a different style. But what I think that when people are reading on the internet, they don't want to read something that's kind of turgid. Because whenever I read articles that are like reading a broadsheet, and the language is, like it takes a lot to think about, and it's hard work, I get put off. And it's not because I'm not intellectual. It's just reading on the screen is actually quite tiring, because you've got the light coming off the screen. It's not like reading a book. And I think people want a more chatty, friendly style when they're reading on screen, because they want to skim it really fast. So I tend to write how I speak. Not literally, because I don't go nah, and all that. But I try to keep it kind of friendly and chatty. Avoid long words, short sentences. Although I'm the king of the long sentence, because I went to university, and in university you learn to write long sentences, the whole paragraph, punctuation. Where's the full stop? so I've had to kind of really focus on writing short sentences, but not idiot sentences. So you've got ideas. So I think that helps. And it says a nice chatty style, but not clown-like. I don't like it when the style's so chatty. It's almost like a comedy. You think, actually, it'd be all right if it was a comedy blog. But this is about social media. We don't want it to be a comedy, but we don't want it to be so serious that no one reads it. So a bit of humour. And if it's funny to me, I usually write it down. So I think it has changed. I write for different websites. That's the word I was looking for. I write for different websites. And I tend to write in their style, so I'll tend to read what other what the style is of the, because when I deliver my service, I'll pretend to be other people, so I'll write on their behalf, and so you have to write in their style. So I don't always write in my style. So it depends who I'm writing for, and really every blogger, content provider should be writing for their audience, providing content for their audience, as opposed to you. When you are famous, when you're on Forbes list #1 or wherever you want to be, you can write for yourself, because people will read you because of your name. They're not reading you for the information. They're reading you because it's you. But when you're coming up, people are going to read for their needs as opposed to your profile, your fame, and so therefore you need to write for your audience. And so I write for my audience.
Cool. And how does that differ from your radio show? Because what people don't know is, prior to blogging and partnering up with Leela, you actually had the Tycoon Woman radio show.
I love doing that. Absolutely. Funny enough, I sit there and think, I really miss that, because I really like doing it. And how did it differ? Actually, it didn't, because despite what people, I scripted the show, so I didn't script it and then read the script, but so that I knew exactly how it was going to go, I'd script the whole show. I'd know exactly what people were going to say, you know, what we were going to ask them, when we were going to play the records, you know, the questions I'm going to ask, and I'd send people questions to say, you know, this is what I'm going to ask you, so that they weren't going, because you know, live. It was live, but it wasn't unplanned. And even though we, because one of the things we did in the show is people used to do their moments, and we had a deck of cards, and I'd turn over the card, and they'd do their moment, and so it was random. So it was random. It just wasn't done live, so that, you know, I'd randomly sorted them, and I'd say to people, this is a random order that's come up, and this is the order we're going to ask, so that I could cue things up, cue the music, and it'd go smoothly. So yeah, it's the same as content. I planned the show for the audience, to make sure that the person who was my guest wasn't, I'm not that kind of interviewer. It's not my job to embarrass you and make you feel small and spoil your life. My job is to enhance you and tell your story so that you can inspire others. So, you know, I didn't, never made people uncomfortable. So it's kind of, it was the same. It was just a different media. And I think I'm better at talking than I am at writing. Even though I'm good at writing, it's easier to talk. Well, actually, it's easier to talk than it is to write, you know. I always say to everyone, there's no such thing as a great first draft. You have to redraft everything. So when I write, you know, it's not I've written it once and then given it to you. I've usually redrafted it. So speaking's a lot easier because, you know, you can change it on the hoof. Whereas, you know, word pressing is great. You can go back and edit it. But, you know, every post I've put up has probably had 2, 3, 4 edits before it's gone up. It's not knock it off, whack it up. If people can do that, hats off to you. I can't.
So how does that compare with the totally unscripted, unprepared and underfunded AA social show on a Friday afternoon?
This is fun as well, and we've had guests, and I love it when we've got guests, even though I'm interviewing myself today, because, you know, it's about sharing the knowledge, and as much as we both know a lot, Sarah, we don't know everything, and there's always something new. So being able to allow someone to share their knowledge and their experience is actually a great way for other people to benefit. I love what Oprah said about, I decided that I was going to use other people's stories to help other people live a better life. And I think this is what we're doing with our show. We're using other people's experience of social media, of marketing, of business, to build their own business and to feel better about themselves. Because it's actually hard being in business. You know, I think anyone who says it's easy, well, then good on you. But I think the majority of people find it hard. And it's about sharing that experience, that journey. If you're struggling with social media, when we set the show up, it was like, if you're struggling with social media and you just don't get it, you don't get why you should be on it, you don't get how it's going to help your business, come and talk with us, because we're not going to make you look stupid. We're not going to tell you should know. We're going to say, actually, we get that. You know, we totally get that. And here are some people who've got that and changed how they do it, and this is their experience. Maybe you can use that. Tell us what you want to know, and we'll answer your questions, because this is a journey we're all taking together, and we'll only get there at the same time. You know, there's no point in me getting there. And, you know, if you used to go on the school trips, and like, you'd be the smart kid who walked on ahead, and the teacher would make you stop. You'd have to wait for everybody else to catch you up. It's kind of like that.
We've had a diverse range of guests on the show since we started. What was it, in February, March? Yeah. What is the one thing that's really opened your eyes? Was it something a guest said, or people's reaction when they watch the replay rather than live? What surprised you? What didn't you expect but happened?
I think I'm surprised that people actually watch it. And people do. And people who've watched the replay say they really enjoyed the show and they thought it was great. And I think, really? You found that useful? Because most of the time we're just laughing.
Yeah.
Just keep them up.
And having shameless plugs. My Eva Longoria lipstick here from
nice.
L'Oreal.
So going totally off the tangent. But just how relaxed it is. I love that it's just so relaxed. Because it can be quite stressful. And I think if there's a message we're giving to everybody else, you know, be yourself. You know, at the end of the day, don't judge where you are by looking at somebody else who's been doing it for years. So basically, don't look at Sky News production and think, oh, I can't do a show, I can't do a webinar now, I can't do a hangout because it's not going to look like Sky's production team. Of course it's not. The Sky production team isn't one person sitting in front of a webcam. It's like, hundreds of people, and feeds and all the rest of it, and they've got editors who cut the film, they've got researchers who go and do the research. It's not going to be what you do. But there is an audience for what you do. And if you're yourself, you're giving people valuable information, they feel hugged, my touchy-feely hug thing, they'll come back and listen. So that's always a surprise, that, there is somebody out there in this world of 9 billion people. There'll be a sufficiently sized audience that will love your style. There's nothing wrong with being yourself. So I think that's been a nice surprise. I always think everybody's interesting. Anyway, this is my starting point. Everyone's interesting. So even people I thought weren't going to be interesting, I thought, well, okay, let's find something interesting about them. And so we've made everybody interesting, which I think is really good. I hope people have found it. We used to dress up at the beginning. I got a bit fed up with that.
But today I made you dress up in your glamorous glad rags.
Glad rags, yeah. But the dressing up was fun. I thought people might think that it wasn't serious and that there was nothing to be learned here. But even that worked. So yeah, everything can work if you've got the right intention. Maybe that's it. Yeah, have the right intention, and everything can work because it's coming from the heart.
Oh, you're doing that touchy-feely, huggy stuff with us again. Okay, right, before I wrap up the interview, if you had to start over on social media again, from scratch, what would your plan be? Walk us through the 3 steps that will just rocket you to the top.
If I was going to start, so I always say to people, if you're going to be on social media, it really comes back down to your plan. So, okay, why are you on it? I know lots of people who think, I could be on social media, but if you haven't got a big vision and a big plan, then it's not really going to help you because social media is a marketing tool. So you think, well, okay, I want to use social media to market my business. So first of all, I have to know exactly what my business is, what it is, because if I can't describe it, how am I going to convey it in the media? I need to know what my message is, what value I'm providing, and to whom. Yeah, and to be really, really clear about that. You can stumble your way through, and if you do, it will just take you a lot longer. You'll waste a lot of time. Well, you won't waste time, but you'll have a bigger feedback loop to know what works and what doesn't. But if you start off very clearly with, what is my business? What is it actually that I provide? The value, the difference, my value proposition that nobody else is providing, that I'm really clear about. Yeah, so if you know that and who, then it makes it much easier to craft your message, because then everything is almost like you know where you're heading. So every picture, you can ask yourself, does this picture encapsulate my message and the value I'm giving? So it's not about promoting yourself. If the value you're giving is to make people's lives easier, does this picture encapsulate something about making people's lives easier? How is it going to make their life easier? Yeah. So I think that's the biggest tip. The second one is don't be afraid to pay people to do things for you if you hate doing them. Yeah, and there's lots of things in social media that you might not like sourcing pictures. You may be rubbish at infographics and creating images. You may not even like blogging. Yeah, you might not be a writer.
Can people not like blogging?
I know, but some people don't. Not everyone likes writing. Some people hate making videos, or So if you really hate doing something, pay somebody else to do it for you, because the time it's going to take you to struggle through and do it, if you costed your own time, you could probably pay someone to produce that for you, or faster, especially graphics. You can pay those faster. So don't be afraid to buy in the help you need, be it content or advice. Because I think a lot of people are really afraid to invest in themselves. So that'd be the first thing. And there is no point on setting up your social media if at the end of it your website doesn't convert. Yeah, so if we're talking about for business, the purpose of it isn't to be out there and talk to people and be friendly. Yeah, that's what you want to do, but ultimately you're looking for leads, and you're looking for those leads to convert into sales. And so you have to have that pipeline set up in advance of you starting on your social media. because at the end of the day, it's if you're not getting conversions as a business owner, you're not getting a return on your investment, and it is a time investment. Even if you're not paying somebody else, it's a time investment for you that you could be doing something else in your business. So you have to absolutely make sure that you understand your sales funnel and your conversion process, and how that relates to your social media, so that it works all the way down the line. So I think if I was doing it again, I'd make sure I'd got those things right, and I'd delay my entrance into it until they were right, rather than think, oh, I'll just do it as I go along. Because you know what? We're all human. We never do it as we go along because we can't be bothered. There's always, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. Oh, no, I've got to pull that up. Oh, I'll do that tomorrow. So have that. And the other thing I would say, this is not a step, but this is just some learned experience and wisdom. It takes time. It takes time to set everything up. So if you've got a drip campaign that follows on from your driving people to your website once they've logged on and they've given you your details, it will take you time to set that up. If you're giving away a video, it will take you time to do the video. If you're going to blog every day and then use your social media to drive people to your websites using the blog post, it's going to take you time. So you need to allocate that time, not only on a daily basis, but on a project plan basis. So like you say, well, okay, it's going to take me 3 months to get everything in place so that my funnel works when I start my social media. And to just recognize that it's not going to happen overnight. It will take you time to set it up, and then to build it up once it's set up. So to get the audience it's going to take time. And I think if you go in it with your eyes open, and cost your time investment to say, well, okay, that it's going to take me 12 months to be in a position where this starts to give me a real return on my investment. How much is it going to cost me? How much will that bring me in terms of customers? Is it worth it? Do your equation and then get on with it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. I'm pressing clap and nothing's happening. Delayed reaction clapping. Well, thank you very much, Ola. It was great to have you on our show talking about you. And next week we will have a guest, and I will not leave it to the last minute. However, I've got to be honest, I've been thinking a couple of days about what I'd like to know about Ola and how she got into social media. So I didn't actually book a guest in on purpose because I knew there were things that I wanted to ask.
You're such a sneak. I'm going to do the same thing for you. You watch.
Well,
I'm not going to tell you when. It's going to be a surprise.
I'm hoping that we will have the fabulous Eunice Flynn on. I don't know. I'm going to try and twist her arm because, firstly, our timings are not school-run compatible.
Okay.
But Eunice built an amazing Facebook fan page, one like at a time, and she gets tremendous engagement and generates sales from it. So if you're watching, Eunice, and I know you are, I want you to know you're on our list. You're on our radar. And if you happen to see her on Twitter at @choc_madness, tweet her and say, come on this show. I really would like to hear what you've got to say. And if you're friends with her on Facebook, tag her and say, come on the show. I'd really like to know what you've got to say, because she's got these amazing things that she does. She makes chocolate willies, among other things, and she promotes it and markets using Facebook, and I'd like to get an on-the-ground actually how it works from a business that isn't social media. So Eunice, you're on our radar.
Did you hear that?
No, I didn't. You whispered.
I said I'd like a chocolate willy. So Eunice, if you're coming on, you need to bring me a chocolate willy.
Okay, everybody, same time next week, 2 o'clock, hopefully with Eunice Flynn. If not, we'll have another guest who may or may not come armed with chocolate willies, we don't know. And we'll be talking about social media and how you can use it in your business.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.